There he is, the little sweethead. Dear heart, little chickle. Dear heart chickle. Bless you, darling. So, hello. Today I'd like to take a look at this. Well, I've not done much research because this is my dad. My dad used to be a management trainer. He had a very successful career as that in the 1960s, 70s and 80s and up until the 90s. I mean, he retired when he was 78. They actually said to him, how old are you? And he said, it's none of your business. The oldest turkey on the block, you know what I mean? But that's him, that's my old darling dad. And he was a Bachelor of Science, Economics, fellow of the College of Accountancy, I think that is, and fellow of the Chartered something as well. I'll have to leave bits below because I honestly don't know what they are. But this book was actually written by my dad. I mean, he actually wrote the fucking thing, you know what I mean? You can see how old it is. That sea diver, bloody hell, the mind boggles. What are you diving for, mate? Cockles and mussels, alive, oh, you know what I mean? But I'm joking. That's my humour. My dad, although he was sort of into business and what have you, that's my mum. That was dedicated to my mum. He had a great sense of humour, which is possibly where I got mine from. There's Whitchurch on Thames, where he wrote the book, where he was living, because we lived all over the world. Thanks to my dad, we were everywhere. And well, this is another book that I've collected, Ashridge Management College, which is where my dad used to work, and that's my dad's signature. He signed that. It was a Friday, the 9th of May 1969. These books are more recent to my collection. This is the same book, believe it or not, that was translated. My dad was so successful, his book was translated into Spanish. Now, I actually understand Spanish, editores de técnica, and so pasivo curculante mueblería pasiva ragar plaza compagno constructora, and well, get you some lessons. Contabilidad básica para ejecutivos. It's been a long while since I've spoken Spanish, I can tell you. It's more like 25 years ago. But there's my dad signed the book again, 21st of August 1967. So I'm lucky to have these. This is, I think, some sort of contract that my dad had at the Ashridge Management College. It's now called Hult. It's now called Hult, but Papers in Management Studies. Because as I say, he originally started off working for Unilever in central London, and was being prepped to be a very, very wealthy accountant by this Kraken Cruckle, sort of Donald Trump character, you know, that was just out to kind of scam badge everyone and rip everybody off, grifter, you know. And my dad didn't want to be part of it and said, no, I don't. I appreciate that you think I'm one of your grifter buddies, but no, I don't want to be part and parcel of this con. No, I want to be honest and loyal, and I want to teach people how to, you know, be managers and what have you, with the skills I've got. Anyway, this is, as I say, this is well above my head, isn't it? All these budgetary controls that my dad's written during his career, as I say. This was one of the later books. I think this was one of the last editions. And well, that's my dad when he was at Cranfield, because he obviously eventually progressed to become a professor of management accounting, and trainer, obviously, he was a teacher, primarily he was a teacher at the Cranfield University, which they teach the Master of Business Administration, which is about as intelligent as you can get. Yeah, an MBA is very, 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 very difficult to pass. You can't do it unless you're skilled, highly intelligent person. That's another copy of my dad's book. As I say, I got them in a collection. That's been clamped. I'll have to sort that out later. I'll have to sort that out. I didn't realise that was so bad. This is a softback version. I've got lots of them, obviously, because it was my dad's book. I think this one looks like, well, I don't know what language that is, in actual fact. It looks like German or Dutch. It's Dutch. Sorry, it's Dutch. I recognise it now. It's in the Netherlands, so it's Dutch. So my dad was also published in Holland. Voorwoord is forward in Dutch. I love Dutch people, as my dad did. He went to The Hague and Amsterdam and Rotterdam for decades, and he loved Dutch people. He said the only problem with Dutch people is that as soon as you open your mouth in Dutch and they detect that you're English, they start speaking to you in English. So you've never got a chance to learn Dutch, which really annoyed my dad because he loved the Dutch and he wanted to speak their language. But they never allowed him to, because they were always, oh, you are English, you know. And of course the Dutch speak, I don't know why they do, but they do. They speak English as a sort of fluent language. You know, they don't mess about. That's, to me, from my dad, to my dear son Andrew, with all my love, Dad. He wrote that a while back now, in April of 2012. And thanks, Dad. Wonderful. That was a copy of his book that I bought off the internet. I've also got copies that were given. That was my grandma's handwriting. She wrote. Also a professor. This would have been a first edition, of course. That is a first edition, 24th of November 1966. So this is a first printing of my dear old dad's book. There you go. First published 1966. And anyway, it goes on to Joyce. It's there. It goes on and on. You know, I've got plenty. I do want to try and show you though where my dad worked for the majority of his career, which, I'm sorry about the mess. That's I've got to be careful. He worked at this place called Ashridge, which was a compilation of history was given by this chap called Douglas Coult, who I believe was one of the bursars there. And this place, this college, was originally owned by the Duke of Bridgewater. And it was eventually, that's my dad again, you see, signing his name into this book that he's bought. That's how it looked when my dad worked there, under snow, obviously. My dad's office was about there on the side of this building, and that's where he operated from. And Ashridge was the Duke of Bridgewater, who built the canals for the important sort of that's Sir Thomas Egerton. There he is, this chap, this Earl of Bridgewater, and ultimately he was the first kind of horseless carriage, you know, because obviously they didn't have trains so much in those days, and this is where this bloke lived, you know, in 1780. It was a very interesting building. It was made of sandstone, added to, obviously you can see they've added on to it. The whole thing's being added. Had a big deer park. You can see the deer there. Ashridge North Front, 1780. Wonderful, you know, absolutely superb. And I used to go up there with my old Da when he was working there and entertain the secretaries, because I was just a naughty kid. And I think they were hoping to have naughty kids. And so they all loved me, and I loved them. They were like my aunties. That was the garden. The gardens were spectacular. The Lazelle building. They were really spectacular, the gardens. They were maintained by a team of professionals that I mean that they're listed. You know, these gardens are actually noted in English kind of criteria as where's there a good garden. You know, Wisley Gardens goes, oh, let's go to Ashridge, get some inspiration sort of thing. But anyway, I'm going on now, innit? I'd like to show you a picture of my dad. He was a dear man. And there he is. That's when he was working at Ashridge, actually. This is my dad. He's wearing my grandfather's watch. I'm sounding like that moment out of Pulp Fiction now, aren't I? This watch, little man. I wore it up my ass for 2 down years, you know. But no, this watch was my grandfather's watch, and he's wearing that. And I got married in that watch. And I've got a picture somewhere of me. God help me, if I'd have known what I knew now, I wouldn't have fucking bothered. But I got married to my last wife, my Polish wife, in that watch. But my dad wears it proudly there in the 60s. And he was a dear person. He was very clever, but he was very compassionate and very, very... he wasn't an arrogant son of a bitch at all. He was just somebody who wanted to help people. And I love that about him. And I suppose that could be summed up by when he first came with my mum to the Czech Republic in Prague. That's in Praha. I don't know if there's a date there. It's November 2002. The first visit they came to see, and you can see how my dad's face is lit up, and my mum's. And that's them in a nutshell. They just light up a room, you know. So anyway, thanks ever so much for watching, because this video's cracking on now, innit? And I really appreciate all the support and kindness from you all. And as well, you know, if you got this far, you're nuts.